Getting kicked out of a nightclub? I thought you were better than that, Stork. Yeah, well, things don't always end up turning out how we want them to. So, real quick, before I tell this story, I just want to give a shout out to anyone who is on this page watching this video, whether you're brand new or you've been a supporter or whatever you want to call it. I greatly appreciate it. Okay. So, this took place in 2011. And we were going to a dubstep show, like a electronic music festival show, but it was at the Hollywood Sunset House of Blues. So by then, I was already pretty seasoned in like sneaking shit in. Like that was definitely not my first rodeo. So, you know, I let's just say I figured out a way to get pre-rolled blunts in with no problem to any venue. Okay, so we get inside and like we're not even in there for like maybe 20 minutes, and all of a sudden, like there's like an outside part for the smokers. So like the person who we went to see or who I went to see was Caspa, who's like Dub Police. Like it's just like electronic music, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But he was someone that I've seen before, and I like his music and stuff, so I wanted to see him. So before like we're barely even in there, and I decide like yo, let's go smoke a blunt. And me and one other person who shall remain nameless, um, we went out to the smoking area, and of course I pulled out my blunt and I started smoking it. So we're smoking the blunt, everything's all good, and then all of a sudden this black guy comes up to me and he starts asking me all these questions. And he's like, did you roll that at home? Did you bring that from home? Like asking me like all these questions like that, and I was just saying like, nah, sir, I bought this. And he's like, well, why does it smell like that then? Blah 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 blah. And then finally, like, I deny until you can deny no more. Like I learned that from a homie that passed away. So he like finally calls bullshit on my thing. But the really messed up part is it wasn't just me smoking the blunt out there. It was me and my homie. So me and him are smoking the blunt, and they make me put it out, and all of a sudden I hear on the radio, yeah, we got an 86, which was the first time I'd ever heard that terminology, like ever. And I was I learned pretty quickly that that means that that person is getting kicked out. Okay, so they take me out of the like venue area, and they like straight up put me on Sunset Boulevard, and like I before that happened, my friend who I was smoking the blunt with, he says, well, what about me? And then I'll never forget this. The security guard goes, well, do you want to go with him? And then he's like, so of course he gets to go back inside and blah 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 and whatever, and I end up getting kicked out. I was fortunate enough that my friend who drove had one of those like key fob things that like sticks underneath your underneath like the car or whatever. So he told me like, yo, like just feel around for it, and then you can just like chill in my car. Okay. So I was like, all right. I mean, I was pretty bummed, honestly, because like the person who I came to see, like, there was no chance of that happening. Okay. So, like I said, that happened like 20, 25 minutes into the show. Like, it hadn't even, it was like the starters, like the warm ups, like, it was nobody special. Okay. So, I'm sitting in the car, and granted, we went up to that show with a car full of people. Like, it was like me, my homie Spencer, and three other people. So it was like a completely packed car. Okay. And we had parked somewhere that was like across the street from, like, on the other side of Sunset. So I'm like sitting there just kind of like trying to, like, entertain myself or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I see someone else from our group walking up to the car. And I'm like, yo, what happened? Like, what happened? And he, like, I guess he got in trouble for like being too aggressive in the mosh pit or something like that, you know? And then so then now it was me and him. So it was a little less like lonely, Like, it was kind of cool. And we're in there and we're chilling, whatever. And then I kid you not, like 15 minutes later, another person that came with us walks up and walks up to the car. And I don't remember what he did, but he ends up getting kicked out and sent, kicked out. So he comes to the car, and he knows that I'm already there and the other homie is already there. So, you know, at that point, we had more people in the car than we did inside the venue. Okay. And then finally, the last two people that we went with both got kicked out. So it ended up being that everyone in the car, besides the person who drove, got kicked out. And like, I couldn't make this shit up if I tried, honestly. So like, we're just like sitting, like, honestly, it made me feel a lot better to like not be sitting in a car by myself like for like hours and hours and hours. Like, I had like multiple homies come, and like, we made our own fun, whatever. So like, eventually my homie who drove, like, I don't even think he got to see like the main event or whatever, because, like, think about it, like, you bring a car full of people, and then all of a sudden you're the only person left, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've gone to many shows by myself. Like, I'm not like hating on that or anything or whatever, but I could just understand how he could feel a little like uncomfortable, So he ends up coming back to the car, and like, I guess he couldn't have a good time without all of us in there, So he ends up coming back to the car like hours early before the show ends or whatever. And we I give him, or he has his own key. I had the spare key. So he just starts up the car, and we start our trek back to the South Bay. So that's that's one way to get 86th out of a club in Hollywood. And I just want to say rest in peace to the House of Blues in Hollywood on the Sunset Strip, because now it's like a hotel or something like that. I went to so many shows, different kinds of shows at that place, and I just think it's whack that they turned it into a hotel, motel, whatever. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this little bit. And yeah,